So today I'm going to show you how to make an FAQ screen. We're going to implement both single select and multi-select. What do I mean by that? So on single select, whenever we click on our question here or item, it expands. But if I click on another item, the previous one collapses. That's a single select. But on multi-select, let's change it here. On multi-select, if I click an item, click on another one, the previous one doesn't collapse. I can expand all the items and they will not collapse. They will only collapse whenever I click again on them, on the expanded one item. And that's what we're going to create. So after creating our new project, I've removed the default code that comes with the project. The only thing that I've added here under resources, values, and strings, I've added the questions and answers in our strings file, as you can see here. FAQ question 1, FAQ question 1 answer, up to 5 questions and answers. So the very first thing that I'm going to add here, I'm going to add a package, maybe call this one data, and another one screens. In our data package, I'm going to add a new data class. I'm going to name this one FAQ. So our FAQ item is going to have an ID of type long, a question of type int, and an answer of type int. So the reason why I'm using int types here on our questions and answers, it's because our questions and answers are going to come from our strings file. That's the reason why I'm using this int type here. And I'm also going to annotate this one with add string resource to indicate that this one it's coming from our string resources. It is just a string resource. It's coming from our resources package. And I'm also going to create here an object which is going to just hold our list of data here. I'm going to name it local data, which is just going to have the list of our data here. As you can see, it is just a list of this FAQ item here, this one, which contains an ID, a question, and an answer. As I mentioned earlier, our question and answers are coming from the strings file. So now that we're done with our data, under our screen package, I'm going to create a file called FAQ screen, which is a file. Inside that file, I'm going to create a composable function, FAQ screen. And then from here, in our main activity, we're going to call this function here FAQ screen, since we want to display it. And if we take a look at our completed app, at the top we have this button here, which we're going to toggle whether we're on single select or multi-select. Below that button, we have a lazy column. In that lazy column, we have this item here, which is nothing but a card. On the left, we have this text here, which is our question. On the far right, we have this icon here, which is going to indicate whether we're collapsed or expanded. And below that, if we expand the item, we're going to get an answer. So now we're going to just create this item here itself, and so for that I'm going to create a composable function here, FAQ item. And since I have mentioned that we are using a card there, our item itself, it's a card, I'm using an elevated card. Inside of our elevated card we have a text on the left and an icon on the right, and for that I'm going to use a row, and for that row I'm going to give this one a full max width. We need the whole width. And inside of our row, okay, first let me just give this one a padding maybe 10 dp. Let's import this one. Inside of our row we have the text, which is our question, and for now I'm just going to write here question, and let's also preview this one. Let's show the system UI true. Let's build this one here for now. Okay, and next to our text we have that icon. Just going to give this one an icon, then it's icons dot default dot, let's just give this one this arrow for now, this arrow, null description. As you can see, we have our question here, and next to that we have that icon, but we need this icon to be on the far right of our screen, and we also need to change the color of our container, and for that we can just do here colors. It's a card defaults dot elevated card colors, since we're using an elevated card, and then we want to change the container color, which is going to come from our material theme dot color scheme dot maybe a secondary. Now we can see our card, it's coming together nicely, and for this let's just use the weight modifier for this question text, which is just going to push our icon to the far right. So modifier, it's going to be modifier, we're using the weight modifier and giving this one a 1F. As you can see, it's now on the far left of our screen, and we're also going to for this row we're going to center it vertically. So it is since we're using a row, it is the vertical alignment, which is alignment dot center vertically. There we go. And then I'm going to just change maybe the style first, which is going to come from our material theme dot typography dot maybe label large, maybe also our font weight. Let's give this one a weight of bold. There we go. And now for our answer, below the row we need our answer not inside the row but below it, outside of the row, inside of our card we need that text. For now let's give this one a text of answer and a padding maybe. maybe a padding of 10 dp, which is nice. And also on our card, okay, for now let's let me just leave it like this. And then since now we see how everything looks like, we know that you are not just going to use this question and answer text here, and we're also going to show this text, this answer text, based on whether the card is expanded or not. So for that, I'm going to need here a boolean is expanded, which is nothing but a boolean. Then when we click that item want to do something, we want to pass the ID of our item. Okay, on click here, when you click that item, okay, we also need here, I've left something, we also need the FAQ item itself, which is coming from this data class, which we're going to get on our lazy column. And here, when we click the item, on item click, we need to pass the item ID here. And then here, since I've mentioned that here we're using a string resource, so also here our text is going to be a string resource, our ID it's going to be a FAQ.question. Since here this string resource requires an int, that's why I did provide here an int here on our question and answer. And also our answer here, it is a string resource, FAQ.answer. And then we want to show this answer text here based, we want to show the answer based on whether we are expanded or not. If is expanded, then we're going to show our answer. If not, the answer it's not going to be shown, it's going to be hidden. Then we can remove this one here. You can just put it here at preview, show system UI true. So as we saw earlier here on this screenshot, we have this button here at the top and the lazy column below the button. So for that, I'm going to use a column, and that column is going to take the entire screen. Modifier dot fill max size, and then we have our button at the top, and the button is going to have a text here. Let's say maybe single select for now, maybe a padding here on our root column, 10 dp. There we go. So our button is not functional right now, so we also need to change this text based on whether we are on multi-select or we're on single select. So we need a state here. If maybe let's say multi-select by remember mutable state of false. Initially it's going to be false, so which means we're going to be on single select initially. Nope, not mutable map, mutable state of false. Import this, and then when we click that button, what we're going to do, it's going to change the state of the button, multi-select is equal to the opposite. If it is true, it's going to be false. If it is false, it's going to be true. And we're also going to show this text based on that state. If multi-select, then we're going to show this text here, single select. Else, we're going to show multi-select. So we can interact here with this preview. Okay, it's loading. Okay, interactive mode. Okay, when we click here, you see it's changing. There we go, which is nice. And now below this button here, inside of our column, we need our lazy column. This lazy column is going to have items, and for our items, the items are coming from our local data with this object here, which are our questions and answers. It's going to be local data.faqs, and then here we're going to have each item, which I'm going to name FAQ. Maybe let's give this one also a type of FAQ. Maybe also give this one a key. Our items, each item should have a unique key, and our IDs are unique. So our key is going to be our ID. And then inside here, we're going to render the FAQ item. And the FAQ item requires 3 parameters. We only have, for now we just have this FAQ here, which is this one here. FAQ. On item click, for now let's just do this and false, just to see if it's showing on our screen. There we go. So you can see that it's a bit ugly, there's no spacing here. So what we can do, we can just give this one a space here, our card, maybe a modifier, and just give this one a padding, maybe a vertical padding, maybe 5 dp. There we go. It's looking nice. Now for the functionality, we're going to start with the single select functionality. So we're going to have a state here, which is just going to hold our item ID. We just need to hold our item ID here. So let's say var expanded ID, maybe by remember, which is a mutable long state of, since our ID it's a long, the default one is going to be a -1 L default. And then we're going to check, since this one here requires a boolean, a true or false, so we're going to check here if the expanded item ID is equal to the FAQ.id. If this one equal the FAQ, the expanded item ID, this one is equal to this one, is going to give here a true, else it's going to give a false. That's why we get this boolean like this here. So now when we click our item here, remember that here when we click the item, we pass in here the ID, so we can also retrieve it here, ID, like this. When we click that item, we want our expanded item ID, this one here, the state, we want to change it. Expanded item ID, it's going to be if the ID itself that is coming from this FAQ item here, this one that we are passing. If this ID it's equal to the state itself, the ID in our state, then we want to change it back to the default one, which means that if these are equal, it means that our item is expanded. And if we click an expanded item, we want to collapse it. Else the item is not expanded, we want to expand it. So we give this one this ID here. Okay, let's try it now. As you can see, if we click, it expands. We click on the next one, the previous one collapses, as you can see, but we don't have that animation, that smooth animation. What you can do here, you can just come to our card here and say maybe animate content size, maybe animation spec, maybe 500 millis. Nope, twin, I forgot. Twin, maybe 500 millis, like this. Okay, now it's loading. Okay, if we click, you can see now it's smooth, looking nice. We now have our single select functionality. It's now working, but this one it's not working because we didn't add the functionality for our multi-select. So since in our multi-select we want to expand multiple items, we don't want to, maybe if we expand this one item, if we click here, we don't want to collapse the previous one. We want to expand whatever we want to expand and collapse whatever we want to collapse. And for that we can use a map. Remember that a map can hold multiple items, and those values inside that map can be accessed using a key, and for the key we can use our item ID. So let's say let's create that map here, val, maybe let's call this one expanded map is equal to, remember, mutable state map of remember I said for a map we can access items using a key. So for our key is a long, remember here our key, this ID which is our key is going to be our ID, which is of type long, hence I'm using long here. And then our value, it's going to be a boolean, which is going to be whether or not the item is expanded or not, true or false. This is what that is. Okay, and then from here we want to access the item itself, because this one is not the boolean itself but a map, you see. So from here we want to access the values themselves, not the map, which is just a key and a value, but here we need the value itself. What we can do here, you can say maybe expanded is equal to the expanded map. We need to access the value inside of a map. We use a key, and our key is a what? An ID. As you can see here, if you can hover here, you can see that our variable here, it is a boolean, which is nullable, which means which shows that the values inside of our map can either be null or not null. As you can see here, we didn't provide anything here, which means that initially it's going to be null. Everything that we want to access here, it's going to be null. And for that we can say if the values are null, they're going to be false initially. If they are null, they are going to be false. And then from here, whenever we click the item here, what we want to do, we want to check first, okay, let's start here. If it's expanded, which requires the boolean itself, which we have here, we can check now if if multi-select, remember we're going to select whether we are on multi-select or single select. If we are on multi-select, then we're going to use these values here, which are coming from the map itself. If we are on multi-select, then we're using this one, expanded, else it is this single select, which is nice. And then on click functionality, we're also going to check if multi-select, and then here we're also going to have else we have this one, which is a single select. We have this functionality. If we click an item and we are on multi-select, what we want to do, we want to save the values that are inside of this map here. We want to save values. We're using a key, remember, a key. So what we can do here, we can say expanded map. We're accessing this one using an ID. That value inside, that value which is inside our map, which we access using that ID, we're going to set it to that value. It's going to be an opposite of what we already have here. If it is true, it's going to be false. If it is false, it's going to be true. So we're going to say it's going to be the opposite of this one here. So let's try it out. I'm going to run this one on my emulator. There we go. Okay, now we're on single select. Initially we're on single select, so if we click here, we can see we are on single select. But now if we change this one to multi-select, if you click this one, you see they expand. There we go. And that's it for this video.